What's going on, guys? Andrew Piluk Hockey here, back again with another video. Today we're going to be talking about Easton Cowan and a potential lineup spot that could be his. So if you guys are new here, make sure to like this video and subscribe. Join the squad. I'd love to have you guys here. And yeah, we're talking about the Maple Leafs all off season and during the regular season. And as always, make sure to comment some recommendations, sound off in the comments, and let's have a fun time talking about the Leafs. So you guys want to talk about Easton Cowan. I want to talk about him because there's a really interesting opportunity for Easton Cowan, and especially with the fact that Nick Robertson hasn't signed yet. It doesn't look like he's going to sign. I know he could enter camp and maybe that changes everything, but he's still a restricted free agent, and Easton Cowan has been tearing it up in the OHL, and I'm going to show you guys some numbers here. Sorry, I had to look the other way to click on the display capture because this thing is still not working for me. But the London Knights forward finished with 34 goals and 62 assists for 96 points in only 54 games in his sophomore season. Like, that is absolutely ridiculous. He also had the league's second highest production rate of 1.78 points per game. He established a Knights franchise record with a 36-game point streak that everybody was watching that spanned from November 25th through the final game of the regular season, which he also carried into the playoffs where it ended at 42 games. Now, it was also the longest point streak in the OHL since 1995. He helped the London Knights capture a Hamilton Spectre Trophy as the OHL's first place team during the regular season, along with a fifth straight Midwest Division title. And as we know, the Leafs picked Cowan late in the first round, 28th overall at the 2023 NHL draft. Now, a lot of people looked at this pick and was like, what are the Leafs doing? It's kind of off the board. He was sitting way up at the top, but the Leafs felt like they couldn't miss out on this guy. Easton Cowan is electric. If you haven't watched any of his highlights, this guy is a spark plug. He goes out there, he plays with intensity, he has a drive to win, and the London Knights have a great system. If you guys don't know OHL hockey, I've watched a ton of it since I was literally born. I feel like in the area I live in, it's a big hockey city, and the OHL is a big deal. It's a big deal for us, and the London Knights have always been good. When anytime you see the London Knights in the standings, they're always towards the top. Their system always plays well. They've got money backing their team. Obviously, it's a little bit different in the OHL. The money doesn't really matter, but, you know, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. I'm sure it has something, you know, to do with how successful they are. But you go there and, you know, the hunters are there, and there's just so much to learn in that London Knights system. It's produced some of the greatest players in the history of the NHL, and I don't want to name any, but it's like literally a list a million years long, including guys like Mitch Marner and Max Domi. They both play for the Maple Leafs right now. They need to keep picking from the Knights system, but Domi wasn't a pick of ours, as we know, but we need to keep getting guys from that Knights system. And I also believe our new goaltender as well. He also was a member of the London Knights system as well. So that's really cool. We are just literally taking everybody. Stolarz, he's also coming to us. But Easton Cowan, this guy literally, it's a perfect system for him to be a part of. And when I talk about the interesting line combinations and roster spot possibility, is if we're looking at daily face-off, this is how they believe the Leafs team will be structured at the beginning of the season. I don't fully believe that Domi will be a third line center, but this is kind of how they think it's going to go. That they think that this is what the team will kind of look like. And the thing is here is you look at this team and in the bottom six screams that there's not a ton of depth. So Connor Dewar probably will be a guy pushed out of the lineup on some nights. Same thing with Pontus Holmberg, depending on how he plays, and especially if they move him to center. Kelly Arnkrok will stay in the lineup. I think under Berube, Ryan Reeves will stay in the lineup. David Kampf has to stay in the lineup because of his penalty killing and probably his contract. They need to see if he can play up to that. But these left sides are holes that should have been filled by Nick Robertson and potentially the left side could be filled with a guy by the name of Easton Cowan. There's spots here. There's spots available. I would like to see him on the third line if it's possible, if he has a really good camp, and that's what's going to have to happen. But we need to look at this as well, right? We need to come up here and look at his age. 19 years of age, 185 pounds. I'm not big on like height and whatever, but he's 5'11". I think that it doesn't matter the size in terms of your skill. If you're a skilled player, if you're a really good hockey player, I don't think it really matters unless you become injury prone. But he's only 19. But as you can see, the progression of how this guy has built so far in terms of his point totals and how well he's played, this guy is just getting better and better, and his playoff numbers over a point per game in the playoffs. Like, the guy is just dynamite anytime he plays. But again, like I said, going back up here to the age, 19 years old, and he hasn't had any experience rather than a couple preseason games with the Maple Leafs. Obviously, the crap that goes on between the OHL and the NHL, where you can't just have, guys going to the Toronto Marlies and getting some experience there, because if that was the case, he would be a sure lock to play for the Marlies this season, like guaranteed. But he can't do it. It's not allowed. There's just the way that they do things. He's not allowed to play for the Toronto Marlies. So he has to make the jump to the NHL if he's going to leave the OHL. And, the London Knights, they'd be smart. They would trade him if he does end up coming back to London and just get an absolute haul for him, unless they're trying to just win again and they don't care about losing this guy. But the Leafs need to have this guy play really well in the preseason and potentially play a few NHL games, because he can play 9 before getting sent back down to the OHL. But I think the preseason and a few regular season games like Fraser Minton did last season would do him a lot of good. And I think this kid has the potential to make this team and actually be an impact guy. He clearly has the scoring ability. He has the playmaking ability. And if you guys have watched any of his highlights, any of his stats, anything that he's done, he's actually not afraid to throw the body around. He's actually gotten in a fight, at least one. I don't know if it's more than one, but he's not afraid to go out there and make things happen and be a guy that, even though he is 5'11", he will be a little bit physical. But can that translate to the NHL game? Can you get this guy to play a similar game in the NHL? He's not going to come in there and score a bunch right away. He's not going to be a 25, 30 goal guy right away. He's going to come up. He's going to score a few goals here and there. He's going to chip in some points. But I think his playmaking ability, his speed, his poise, the way that he plays the game, he's a really intelligent guy. Even just looking at elite prospects, they're saying he's incredibly intelligent and creative. That's what the Leafs need. They need more guys like that in their depth. And if you can protect him, if Domi does end up playing on the third line, you can have a guy like Calle Yarncrook play with them because he's more defensively sound. Domi and Cowan, I don't know how Cowan will play defensively in the NHL, but they're not as defensive as a guy like Calle Yarncrook and responsible. So if you can potentially get an Easton Cowan playing with another playmaker like Max Domi, and they can dish it to Yarncrook, or maybe even Easton Cowan becomes more of a lethal scorer, because if I'm just going to take a look at his numbers, like, he scored 34 goals last year, so he can put the puck in the back of the net. So it might work out. I don't know. This is, again, another video where I want to turn it over to you guys, and I want to ask you guys the question: what are they going to do? Are they going to hold on to Easton Cowan and leave him in the NHL? I think he's at least going to get that trial period at the first few games of the season to see where he's at. I want to hear from you guys. Where is he going to play? If you guys are new here, make sure to like this video and subscribe. Join the squad. I'd love to have you guys here. And yeah, we're having fun on this channel, so make sure to stick around. Player previews coming soon. I love you guys. Peace.